dispatch crime stats for that neighborhood, for that area is not doing. It's not saying out of the 100 911 calls we received on August 3rd, 71 of them was bogus and take them off. Nope. That fucking area is going to say when we got those 100 calls, they were all valid. They were all legitimate. You guys don't know the undertone. There's an undertone, people. There's an undertone. There's an undertone. You guys, you know Miss Washington, yes? Miss Washington is 84 years old. Miss Washington has a cat. Pookie, the new generation nigga, you know, the ones that the women love so much. Yeah. The thug, which is not even a thug, is a hoodlum. You know, I don't understand why these individuals don't understand thugs and hoodlums are two different things. and let me say this. I don't understand how black guys praise Scarface and want to be gangsters, but pardon me, Italians, it was called organized crime. And shit organized about a person going to Mrs. Washington's house, an 84-year-old black woman, bashing her in the head, taking her $3, bashing her in the head with a can of grit, a can of old-ass apples, killing her for $3, and ain't nothing gangster about that. And the city knows Pookie did it. Everybody knows Pookie did it. But there's a code in the black community, no snitching. I remember I was watching, somebody sent me some shit on Instagram. And it was a white cop around all these black people. And they were like, he ended up taking a call in the middle of the conference. And it's just amazing. It's amazing to me how black people become humanitarians when the white persuasion is added to something. It's just, it fucking amazes me. It does. It amazes me. It amazes me. It amazes me. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. It amazes me. In the black community, it's called no snitching, nigga. NSN. In the white community, it's called the neighborhood watch. People, I have 5 cameras patrolling my house. 5. I have 1 camera that I got the sensitivity set low. So before I come home, I check the camera. I just check the neighborhood before I come home. I live in a nice neighborhood, by the way. If my cameras was to catch a crime, I would date stamp it with my fucking address, call the fucking cops, put the shit on the news first and say, yeah, I live in, and motherfucker, I seen this shit. I seen this shit. I'm laughing at something else. But in a white neighborhood, it's called the neighborhood watch. In a black neighborhood, it's called no snitching. You see the parody, the unorthodox, stupid shit that black people do. And but hold on. Let me go back to Pookie. Pookie bashed Mrs. Washington over the head with a can of apples. You ain't never seen apples in a can? Yeah, I make this shit up. Just give me a second. Get out of my house. I'm thinking about this shit in my head. Miss Washington getting bashed in the head with a can of apples. Nothing happens. Let's back that up. White cop goes to Miss Washington's house, shoot her in the head. Now it's a big fucking problem. I'm confused on that shit. I'm confused. I am fucking confused. And I have a very high IQ. Really. My IQ is through the fucking roof. Really. I went and took an IQ test. I blew the fucking meter. The IQ meter went from high to extremely high to high as a motherfucker. And they hooked me up to it and they was asking me questions. That shit was like, boom. They was like, sir, you can leave.
Welcome to Coffee and a Conversation hosted by CJ Abernathy for South Dakota District 23 Senate 2020. A father, an activist, a Marine Corps combat veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, Purple Heart recipient with a bachelor's degree in information technology software engineering. CJ is the executive producer for the Adam vs. the Man podcast with Adam Kokesh, and the CEO of Internet Warlords, the War for the Internet, as well as a former 2018 South Dakota Libertarian gubernatorial candidate, and a 2020 South Dakota delegate to the Libertarian National Convention. If you would like to join this broadcast, click the link in the description. Coffee and a Conversation starts now. Have a great day, or don't. The choice is always yours.
There's a lot of shit going on in the world today. I don't necessarily feel like talking about a lot of it. Tell you what. I think I forgot the link in the description again. Did I? Yeah, shoot. Well, if you want to join, give me a moment here and put that link in the description of the video. You might have to back out. Well, I started today's video with the League of Dads. And there we go. The link is out. So I started today's broadcast with the League of Dads because I felt like he has a way better voice than I do when it comes to issues of African Americans in this country. As an African American, I'm sure he should be the first one to speak to it. And he was live on a rant about this shooting that has been all over. Jacob Blake is his name. So interesting what's happening in the comments, though. As I'm watching, as I'm trying to get more information, as I'm trying to educate myself, here I am telling you that I still don't know much more than I knew yesterday. I still couldn't tell you either way. But again, there's a link in the description. I put out a public statement yesterday. I tagged somebody that I respect in it. Just one of the people that I was having a conversation with yesterday. I talked to about 4 or 5 different people about this yesterday. But what's happening in the comment threads is something else. So I just, man, a lot to digest to that. Whew. And you'd think it was my fault. Like, you'd think I was the one that went and shot this guy or something. Or I'm out there, like, murdering cops. Because, So, before I get into the meat and potatoes of what I want to say today, I got some news for you guys. I'm going to break it on my own broadcast. I'm going back to cornholing season. I'm not going to be producer CJ for a little bit. I'm not going to be doing these types of coffee and a conversations. So I got to take a hiatus from playing Internet Warlord and producer CJ to go out there and actually put in some time behind the wheel for corn harvest. So you guys got me for 4 more days, and then I will be out of here for about a month and a half to 3, about 2.5 months tops. So I'll be grinding those gears, driving that 10-speed, hauling that corn, and heading down the road. So, but I love what I do when it's corn season, though. I love the job. I think it's good for my mental health to get out of this house, to get behind the wheel of a semi and bust my ass and earn some good money. So I'm not above hard work, folks. I'm not above going out there and doing the grind to getting my point. Hey, just a real quick, I want to remind you, Trumpophiles, real quick. Well, I got the opportunity. Well, I've only got 4 days left. Your president is an idiot, and he wants to take guns first and then go to court to get the due process, which is just enforcing this unconstitutional form of government we got anyways. But, should have seen that one coming. Yeah, you're definitely getting fucked now. Here's one that I thought was pretty funny that I want to make sure gets put out there. This is how I thought I would be perceived during the Great Awakening, and in reality, here I am, with a headset sitting behind a fucking computer, giving you my opinion, being view shamed because, CJ, look at how many views you don't have on your own personal broadcast. Well, I would like to think most of my stuff is watched after the fact, because my views reflect that. Live for sure. I'm not going to tell you, hey, there's a whole population of people that tune in the morning to hear me rant about whatever dumb shit I'm going to say today. And I get it. There's a whole lot of you out there that you could go live today and I don't watch it. I'm sorry. It's nothing personal. I even said this last night. I've got about 4 Trumpophile podcasts that I listen to. There's one Democrat broadcast that I can withstand mentally where I'm like, well, I can talk to that person. So I'll watch their broadcast out of respect and to hear the Democrat Communist Manifesto narrative. But I have been taking on more libertarian podcasts. I've been discussing, or I've been getting, a lot more libertarian news aggregators in my podcast consumption mode. And while I'm driving a semi, I'm going to be enjoying a nice break where I get to listen and maybe take on a few more shows that I can listen to and engage with. I like that as far as the driving part goes. It's just like the radio. I mean, we live in an interesting time where it used to be get lucky if you got radio signal. Now it's lucky if you get cell phone service where you can stream podcasts from anywhere around the world. Crazy world we're living in. But I enjoy it. It gives me something to do, to grind for. I'm pretty sure my shoulder can make it through another season, even though it's going to take a beating this year. But I got to try it. I gotta go do what I got to do. So, but do you guys want to get into the Jake Blake story or whatever his name is, Jacob Blake? I think that's the guy. Well, So that guy that you were listening to at the beginning of the show, that was League of Dads. And he was introduced to me through Edmund Welch of Disgusted Dads. The League of Dads is pretty intense. You got to be, you can't be no punk-ass dad walking off the street. You got to know your shit. You got to handle your business. So I'm going to grab some coffee because that's what I was waiting on.
Sedan
I'll
caught
be
on
right
fire.
back.
So when I was replacing my sedan, because I believe that at the beginning of everybody's driveway, they should have a nice car to highlight the house. So that's why the 7 Series is at the house and the everyday car is at the curb. Nonetheless, oh my. I said, wait a minute. I got the 6 and the 8. I really fuck them up if I get the 7. And I had the 6, 7, and 8. So that's when I brought the 7 Series. I didn't really want a BMW 7 Series. I wanted an Audi. That was my car, a sedan. So that's why it happened the way it did. But I love Mercedes, but they're too expensive. They're fucking expensive.
Yeah,
I like the
Mercedes are
SL55.
expensive.
That's
For
a
sure.
bad car. But SL engines? No. SL is the AMG division of Mercedes. We're not fucking with anything AMG.
All right. So, again, we'll check back in on the League of Dads. Interesting man, though. Has integrity. Would love to bring him on this broadcast. Would love to have a conversation. Good morning, Kendall. Top of the morning to you. I see you there. Oh, how was your night? I wonder who the one is that's still watching. Oh, shit. So, let me get the Discuss Global page up because that is who I'm going to trust for this story because I know he does his due diligence. So, there we go. So, we got a nice little block here to discuss. And I've got, about a half hour to do it. So, with that being said, as I swat the flies, this is Good Cop, Bad Cop.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now. Set aside your worries, it's okay now. The sun is here to stay.
Yes, I know I was muted. Yes, you don't have to tell me in the comments. Yes, I was speaking to a different camera that records through OBS. Yes, I was saying things that I'm pretty sure you might go, what the fuck? So, anyways, no qualified immunity for Kentucky cops who strip searched a 4-year-old and threatened mom. Judge, America's founding generation knew their fair share of unwelcome constables. Interesting story to start the day with. From Reason.com here. Good news, parents. If you let your kids wait in the car for less than 10 minutes on a cool day, doors locked and fan on, a caseworker and sheriff are actually not welcome to come to your home, threaten to take your children away, and strip search your kids. These very basic rights were just vindicated the hard way by a Kentucky mom in federal court. Holly Curry sued the cop and the caseworker, insisting that the day she was investigated for child abuse, the two authorities so overstepped their bounds that they should not be afforded qualified immunity. In other words, their behavior was so egregious they had to take responsibility for it. The judge agreed. Your mom you're a dad, go out into the world. Could you imagine this in small town Eureka, South Dakota? Aubrey's sitting there in the truck. She doesn't want to go in. She's old enough to just sit there and play with her toy. Truck's off. No, air conditioner isn't going, but she's good. How do they say it? Doors locked and fan on. Okay, so same situation. If Dave and some caseworkers started to do this, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, you'd go, whoa, 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 whoa. This isn't good. But what I love about this is that it says qualified immunity. They don't get qualified immunity, because could you imagine the judge being like, all right, this is a pretty interesting case. Like I said, just let's get into this. Let's get into the extreme here. You may recall the case back in March 2017. Curry was driving her kids to karate when she stopped to get some muffins. Let this be a lesson to everybody. Do not stop and get muffins and keep your kids in the cars. Cops will diddle them. She was at the cafe for just a few minutes. When she came out, 2 cops rebuked her for leaving the kids. In Kentucky, it's a crime to leave children under the age of 8 in a car under circumstances that, quote, manifest an extreme indifference to human life and create a grave risk to death. But the cops didn't say she'd done that. The kids all looked fine, and the officers, left without charging Curry with a crime. Nevertheless, they felt obligated to call the state's Child Protection Hotline. Oh, you mean that thing the governor funds in every single state that is really just an excuse for the government to take children and traffic them? You mean that one? Oh, they called that one? Oh, lovely. Thus opening neglect investigation, and the automatic required a visit to the Curry home to check on the kids. Again, a waste of taxpayer dollars, in my opinion. When the caseworker arrived at the home, Holly refused to let her in without a warrant. Good for you, Holly. I like you so far. The worker returned with a sheriff's deputy, but still no warrant. Listen, at some point, when do we get to shoot these people that come on our properties with no warrant? Hi, my name's CJ Abernathy. You should let a sheriff's deputy and a caseworker live the first time they come without a warrant. You give them the proper rules of engagement and enforcement and escalation of force. The same way law enforcement officers say, hey, we can escalate force on you like that, up to and including taking your life, and all we got to say is we fear. When do property owners get to start killing law enforcement officers that come onto their property without a warrant? I say give them the first time you come without a warrant. I'm going to nicely tell you, officer, leave my property. That's all I'm going to say. And if they don't, I'm going to have somebody shoot them, or I'm going to shoot them myself if they don't leave my property when they don't have a warrant and they've been told to leave. Now, I'm going to call the other sheriff and say, come get your sheriff that was violating the Constitution. He's dead on my property. And then I'd smile to a jury of 12 while I explain why I shot a deputy. Because if you come without a warrant, not once, but twice, you are attempting, again, reminder that in America in 2020, any interaction with law enforcement, including minor, non-violent, non-criminal charges, can be a death penalty in America. So when do private property owners and people that are using their 5th and 4th and 14th Amendments actually going to get to use their 2nd Amendment to kill the people trying to violate those constitutional rights? When does that happen in America? I'll wait for the answer in the comments, but it's all rhetorical, and most people are way too scared to even comment to this question. So you come to my property with a 2nd time without a warrant. I'm shooting. And I think more people in America should do that. There's rules for law enforcement. They are not above the law. They must go get a warrant. They cannot come onto your private property, trespass, with the intent to possibly taking and kidnapping your children and think they should live to see another day. Hi, I'd be the juror in the jury box saying you, for killing that deputy that came onto your property without a warrant, are innocent. That's called jury nullification. That tells the next deputy that the last deputy was fucking shot and killed on somebody's private property without a warrant because they didn't uphold their constitutional rights. They tried to violate their due process of the person they were trying to go take the children away from on the taxpayer dime. So, yes, I am CJ Abernathy, senatorial candidate, saying, hi, if you vote for me, I'm telling you that I will fight to get laws in place that if a deputy comes to your property without a warrant, not once but twice, not once and won't leave, twice showing an escalation of force and threat and coercion, you have all the right in the world to shoot that person, because an interaction with law enforcement in this day and age in America is a risk of the death penalty to anyone involved that doesn't have the badge on. I say we flip the script. So how do we do that? Well, we make law enforcement officers live under the same laws that they enforce. They don't do that. They don't live, and lawmakers don't live under the same laws they create and enforce. So when you hear something like a judge saying that he doesn't think a cop should have qualified immunity, it gives me hope that there's a cop out there that says, hey, or a judge out there that says, hey, I'm not on the cop's side. When they fuck up, I'll say something. And no, they don't get qualified immunity. But this coming from somebody whose fuck up has absolute immunity, it's still hard to take it as serious as I'd like. But it's a step in the right direction. The caseworker didn't arrive with a warrant. Holly insisted that they still couldn't enter the home. Good for you, Holly. And they were threatened to come back and put your kids in foster care. Holly begged for time to call her husband. They refused. Finally, crying and terrifying, Holly let them in. This is why women, you statistically are less likely to, you're statistically more likely to fall for this kind of government bullshit. That's threat of duress and coercion. That you are under duress, coercion, extortion. Your kids have been threatened to be taken from you. You're more susceptible to being on the prone side to letting a cop in without a warrant. That is you failing your constitutional rights. You are responsible for you. This is where there's two of them. I would have trained that there's a rifle in the bedroom in a nice lock safe. I'd go get it and I'd fucking shoot him. You will never come onto my property without a warrant and get in the fucking door. You'd get a bullet in your head before you'd get through the front door. I promise you. Make no mistake about it. And I would be, again, that juror saying, if you were in this situation and a law enforcement officer and a state employee came and they threatened to put your kids in foster care, open up, they don't have a warrant. If you put a bullet in both of their heads, I would be the juror going, innocent, nope. The law enforcement officer failed in his obligation to bring a warrant. That's a violation of the Constitution. My new campaign slogan when I come back from corn season, and by the way, I'd most likely be towards the election time, but my new campaign slogan is violate the don't violate the Constitution, don't lose your life. I'm going to work on that word play. Actually, violate the Constitution, lose your life. That's what my new campaign slogan is going to be. Not make South Dakota constitutional again. It's got a nice little jingle to it, but really, in all honesty, it's not. I mean, I might use that later on as like a ex post facto, original slogan. But violate the Constitution, lose your life. That's my new campaign slogan, and I'm advocating for the death of every government official, judge, a lawyer, attorney, whatever, bar member, public official, elected and not, appointed or not, If you are a government employee and you violate the Constitution of the United States, I am advocating for your death through public execution. That is my new campaign slogan. Violate the Constitution, lose your life. Fact. This little Make South Dakota constitutional again is going to say violate the Constitution, lose your life. Labeling that decision voluntary consent, which is another term for we were raping you and then we coerced you into saying yes. The authorities entered the home. You know, if this isn't rape of your rights, I don't know what is. The authorities entered the home. Unsurprisingly, the house and kids looked fine. Even so, the caseworker insisted on strip searching each child because that's what we have. We have a policing pedophile force. These QAnon supporters are out here. We're going to save the children. Did you go to our march on Hollywood and Vine for our Save the Children? Meanwhile, pedophile cops are strip searching 4-year-olds over being in a car on a summer day with the AC on and not a hint of distress in the child. It's now became an excuse for a state worker to come watch a cop molest a child. Yeah. And I can't wait to say their names. I can't wait for this one to be the case that goes viral in America. But no, we're going to talk about Jacob Blake today and the ifs and the whats. And maybe he was going for a gun. Maybe he wasn't, CJ. The new fucking narratives that all come out, the trickling in of information. Because we all got to wait. Because if we all just judge right away, blah, blah, blah. It's really fucking stupid. Even so, the caseworker insisted on strip searching each child, removing their underwear and examining their genitals for signs of abuse. Remember, they were going to karate. The mom was getting muffins. And now she's got a caseworker looking at her kids' genitals, being paid by the government to look at children's genitals. And yet again, you Q fucking idiots out here, all saving the children. Oh, God. If there is anything I love more than anything, it's when a retard stamps retard on his forehead, so I know to call him a retard. A few months later, the caseworker closed the investigation as unsubstantiated, saying that what Holly had done was a, quote, one-time oops-a-daisy. Oopsie! I was going to get muffins, making sure my kids were comfortable in the AC of the car because we're in COVID land. And oh God, wait, this is 2019. This is 2017. Either way, I'm just leaving my kids in the car. I wonder how many kids have been left in cars like at Menards. This is where the government is so fucking stupid. Menards won't even allow children in the building. So I wonder how many parents are like, all right, little Jimmy, little Jane, I'm going to go into Menards and pick up this new toilet seat here, and we're going to go install it at home, and ended up with cops and caseworkers looking at their kids' genitals expecting abuse. What the fuck? But she telephoned Curry later and said, quote, if we ever get a call against your family again, bad things will happen to you and we'll take your children. Whoever the caseworker is in this, I'm actually like okay with if she gets shot the next time she comes to somebody's house without a warrant. Like and any caseworker like this, any government employee, because here's the truth. If you kill somebody in government, it's a capital offense, right? You get the capital punishment. You're getting the death penalty. They don't live under the same laws. We take away qualified immunity, absolute immunity, and every government employee that does this shit is under the same laws we are. That's a pedophile. That is somebody that is in a power trip. That is somebody who is taking their position to the head and the dome and saying, hey, I'm going to take we'll take your children. For what? Karate? getting muffins for just sitting in the air conditioner car while she runs into the muffin store. It's not like she had been in there for 8 fucking hours at the Walmart on a 110-degree day while her kids are screaming, dying, the dog is already dead. Now, don't get me wrong, there's been kids that have died in cars all the time. It has happened in America. I'm not saying that it hasn't, but this is where common fucking sense dictates that the mom getting muffins going to karate is probably not the worst fucking mom in the fucking world today. So now that she's been threatened, again, I'm kind of wondering where the dad is in this story. Still haven't heard from dad yet. At that point, Curry had had enough. She turned around and filed suit against the caseworker and cop, claiming violation of her constitutional rights. They, in turn, pressed hard for immunity, but in the powerful ruling on August 19th in Curry v. Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Human Services, Judge Justin Walker, give him at least one for the day, said that it was clear the government used an improper threat to enter the home, lacked any evidence that might have justified a strip search, and violated the children's rights to bodily integrity. According to the judge, 1 act, an attentive and loving mother gets muffins for her children. Woo! Like I called it. 2, there's a knock on her door and a threat by government to take her children away. 3, her children are strip searched without cause. America's founding generation may have never imagined a cabinet for health and family services, but they knew their fair share of unwelcome constables, and they added the 4th Amendment to our Constitution to protect us against this 3-act tragedy. I wish I had more time to dissect this story today. I did share it. Oh, it's almost done. I might be able to make it through here. To enter a home without consent and examine stripped kids requires a warrant. Duh. Genuine suspicion of abuse or an actual emergency. Who knew? Apparently not the authorities in Kentucky, who have been defending the warrantless entry and strip search ever since the Currys filed their lawsuit in 2018. These were good cops, CJ, just doing their job. That was a good cop staring at those kids' genitals while the other person fondles them. That cop is complicit to the violation of the Constitution. And in my campaign, you violate the Constitution, you lose your life. And I'm not saying this in a way that, oh, if you kill somebody else, you get killed. No, if you violate the Constitution, you lose your life. That's what my new campaign is about. When I read officer assists in government employee in unjustly strip searching kids, violating the Constitution of the Curry family and the children, yeah, that's the death penalty for government employees now. If you take an oath to support and defend the Constitution and you violate that Constitution, you're put to death. You're in a position where you can abuse power to a level that is that of more intense than the British. In fact, I make the argument that there's a fundamental misunderstanding in the Third Amendment, which is way above a lot of people's heads. But when you've studied it for this long, you go, the Third Amendment, when they back in 1775, 1776, they didn't have, what did they call it? As he stated, and I've said this before, so it's nice to see a judge actually kind of framing it this way. America's founding generation may have never imagined a cabinet for health and family services. But then they created the 4th Amendment. No, they did imagine it. It's the Third Amendment, and it was quarter to military and in government. It wasn't just you don't go for the standing military. You don't quarter and aid the military. That's their way of saying government employee. That was their generation's way of saying whoever's in the government, you don't welcome them into your home, because if you do, If they have to abide by this now Fourth and Fifth Amendment. So the fundamental misunderstanding that people have about the Third Amendment is that was the generation to say that this means government employee, not just military. It's not the Marine Corps rolls into Eureka, South Dakota and says, CJ, we're taking over your house. And as I've always said, wake me up when they're violating the Third Amendment. They are. They've been doing it. They have been violating the Third Amendment with immunity. And judges that allow it get absolute immunity. So they can claim it's within the scope of their job to diddle kids and watch people diddle kids. While at the same time, the dude making the decision on the bench has absolute immunity if he fucks it up. It's crazy. So, again, I think that there's a big, huge, fundamental misunderstanding about the Third Amendment and what it actually means. No government employee gets quarter in your home without your consent. End of discussion. That's what I believe. And on your property and things that you have access to, that you own and possess. So there's my fundamental little rant about the Third Amendment also worked in here today, if you haven't heard it before. Assuming the decision stands, it's very good news for child welfare and police reformers, says Diane Redleaf, co-chair of United Family Advocates and Let Grow Legal Counsel. Again, most of these, this is a fair warning to anybody watching, and as a candidate running for political office, I think it's only fair to tell you that 99.9999999% of these family law groups, these family law reform, police reform groups are built around a cottage industry of fraud, and they're no better than the family court system themselves. And so, as you know, I've been an outspoken family law advocate, activist, going to events where it's appropriate to handle the cause. But I wouldn't consider myself the advocate of the year. I don't go live talking just this subject every day. And I do that for my own mental health, because as I go through my own shit with this government, it would destroy my mental every day if I had to talk about these bullshit government leeches, is what I call these child welfare, child family law court, these groups. There's been several prominent ones throughout the age. I'm not saying all of them are bad or have bad intentions. I'm leaving that 0.01 for people with the good intentions that actually do the work that they say they do, and you can see it. But like, for example, the biggest fraud out there in this conversation is the Fathers' Rights Movement. The Fathers' Rights Movement is the biggest scam in family court reform community. It is no different than the family court system. In fact, the Fathers' Rights Movement is responsible for more suicides than they are responsible for children being reunited with any parents. They're responsible for more suicides than they are reunifications. So before you go volunteer your life to the Fathers' Rights Movement, you might want to take a step back and go, their reunification rate is nil, but their suicide rate is through the fucking roof. And they will use you and your case and your information for profiting for them, and then they will publicly get rid of you when it's convenient, or you will no longer play ball with them, and then you will not see your kids. And that's what happens when you get involved with the modern day Fathers' Rights Movement. So be careful out there, because it's real. It is real. Quote, it also welcomes news for all the parents who want to give their kids some unsupervised time, a walk to school, to come home with a latchkey, to wait briefly in a car, but fear that could happen to them is an onlooker decided to call 911, said Redleaf. The Currys are homeschoolers who enlisted James R. Mason, executive director of the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, to file the federal suit on their family's behalf. Mason hopes that now the authorities will think twice before barging into homes and strip searching kids without evidence of wrongdoing by the parent. The investigator in the case testified that they, quote, automatically strip search every child when they go into a home. Mason notes, no more. So, all you QAnon morons out there, this is a fuck you to you today. And we're going to save the children, bro. We're going to go rally on Vine and Hollywood, dog. I hope to see you there where we talk about it. Meanwhile, government employees and law enforcement officers are going in Kentucky, and again, in every fucking state, because every state has a department like this. It's not just Kentucky. And they're fucking diddling kids without cause because you left them in a car to go get them muffins on the way to karate. Any excuse for these pedophiles. These sick fucking officers that are just doing it because they love to get attached to the kid unit. They love being with social services. Oh, man, didn't you get to know? Oh, Johnny officer likes working with Janie, child caseworker, and they go out and they diddle kids together, and he watches, and they have a great time. Meanwhile, you guys are saving children as you walk on the fucking street. Good job. Good job. So, fun story. Let's check in with our favorite League of Dads here real quick for a minute.
It's called undertone, people. It's called undertone. When you understand the undertone, you tend to act grown. All right.
Man, I hate being muted. So I've sent this over to the Producers Club. I'm hoping Adam will cover this story at some point. I see that, Dallas. Thank you. Matt, good morning, sir. I hate being muted sometimes. Sometimes I got a camera right here, and this one is for OBS as I record. And this one is when I want to say shit that I'm like, oh, well, Facebook is going to... And so I'm trying to get used to the notion of talking to two cameras, one where I can speak however I want, and one where I can kind of censor myself a little bit. So still a new concept in the works, not really used to it. I'm going to fuck it up. But again, riot following Kenosha police shooting. I sent this over to the Producers Club. I'm going to ask Adam, at some point he's got to cover it because it's getting to be a big conversation, and again, we don't want to just take the initial shock value story. We want to actually wait for more details to come out, because it's hard to make that call when you see something like it. Of course, it shocks you. You're like, what the fuck? But there's been stories where he said he had a gun, and then there's people saying he didn't have a gun, and there's people that are, politicizing it to the left and the right, and they're making all these red herring arguments. They're making all these third rail conversations during this one. It's emotional. But again, with my new slogan coming out soon, violate the Constitution, lose your life, I think it's going to come in handy. So violate the Constitution, lose your life. I think that's my takeaway. And if we can't agree to that, if we can't agree that government officials and law enforcement officers and people that are in these positions of power, if they violate the Constitution, the thing that this very country would kill for, George, and again, I go back to the well with Donald Trump is the most 2A president in the history of presidents. Never mind taking guns first, going to court to get due process second is the dumbest thing a president's ever fucking said in the history of presidents. I know Trump has a lot of those to his credit, but that one takes a fucking cake because the mental gymnastics that I watched pro 2A people taking after that shitstorm was the mental gymnastics Olympics, and people were fucking stupid as a result. I mean, really stupid. Some of them, these Trumpophiles, will still deny that he said those words to this day. Straight up, they will deny it. So, I'm not, like I said, I don't want to dive into the story because to me, it's just going to be that whole conversation again of, well, we don't have all the facts, CJ. Well, he had a gun, CJ. No, he didn't have a gun, CJ. And that's what the comments are doing right now as we speak. And each side wants to push out a narrative that politically benefits their candidates, their party, to virtue signal. Meanwhile, I think the libertarian mindset should be wait for the proper procedural due process of all parties involved and wait for that outcome. That would be the best option. What is this little new thing here? What is this? What is this? Hold on. What? What? Hold on. Am I able to move this? What am I able to do? It says I can drag this thing. There's a new feature on my screen. You know what? I'm alive today because I didn't go do what that guy did. But I want to show you a picture. If there's one thing I'm going to end with today, and this is out there, if you're somebody who's like, CJ, I'm a patriot. I'm not a Trumpophile. I'm barely a Republican. I'm barely a Democrat. But I love my country, and I see it for what it is. The best advice I can give for you is just start speaking the truth, because once you start speaking the truth, the rest of the truth, it just starts to you feel it. You can feel it in your soul when you're not having to suck the dick of Donald Trump. It's a beautiful thing. But to you patriots out there that are saying that, if he would have just complied, he wouldn't have died. There's a perfect meme for you guys today. And I think that it sums you up in a very easy to understand picture. If the patriots of today, meaning you, the one who's like, I'm a patriot, I would suck Trump's dick for a stimulus package. If you were alive in 1776, this would be you. If you don't like the colonies, why don't you just leave? We respect authority. Comply with redcoats and you won't get hurt. Redcoat lives matter. If you have nothing to hide from the king, you have nothing to fear. Just obey the king's law. That is you today. That's who we are dealing with. And I wrote this piece last night that I want to read on the air out loud because it's important for you to hear the tone in my voice from the words I'm saying on the screen, because I have to be this way, because if I'm not, some fucking idiot over the internet's going to get offended, and I don't have the time to, nor the energy to deal with this. At this point, if you're a Trumpophile and pedocrat friend, at this point, your Trumpophile and pedocrat friends know who Jo Jorgensen is. And they still continue to vote for their own enslavement by this government, which 100% of them bitch about daily. And we all see when it's not their team in the White House. It's hard to take any of them as credible now. Certainly not when it comes to journalism. At best, they are good for figuring out the next narrative the sheep will sing today, and that is being nice. Find your favorite Trumpophile and pedocrat and at least hear them out for that purpose. I have 4 Trumpophiles that I listen to on a weekly basis. I have one go-to source for the pedocrats when I need a bigger question answer in regards to narratives. I have 5 libertarian podcasts that I listen to as well. I have a routine. I don't listen to most of the same people I did in 2015, 2016. Although there are a few that I still do, when I check back in on them, I have almost a level of pity. The way they feel about Democrats, I feel about them. While I understand that sucking Trump's dick on a daily basis does have a market and can make you a decent living if you're good at it, the Libertarian Party has taught me that I don't get paid when I get fucked by the government. I pay the government to fuck me, and how much I play ball and how well I suck the dick of Trump can directly determine my popularity amongst Trumpophiles. I can't sell my principles off like that. I'd rather die a broke, unpopular internet warlord than have to get up every day and get into that sheep's clothing and start sucking. No, thank you. I wanted you to hear it. And I think I didn't get it verbatim. I think I have some typos in that rant. But at the end of the day, I mean it when I say every fucking word. We live in a government where Kentucky. Hey, real quick. Wait, we gotta go to real quick here. Hold on. Let's see if we can get Alphabet to work for us today. Who's the governor of Kentucky? And he is a Democrat. Okay. Who is the governor of New York? A Democrat. Who's the governor of South Dakota? Oh. Who's the governor of Meth Dakota? Oh, it said North. Who is the governor of Meth Dakota? Dang it. Who is the governor of Meth Dakota? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, unless we forget about her anti-meth campaigns, which again is just a money funnel of it's racketeering, but that's a whole nother day. There was a point to the Kentucky one. But hey, Kentucky. That's some sick shit I had to cover today. You all are fucked in Kentucky. But before anybody goes, see, it was a Democrat state. Before you're like, see, this is what happens when it's run by Democrats. Every state government has that program. Every state government. Make no mistake about it. So, you Trumpophiles, you pedocrats, you two-party duopoly voters, you morons, you idiots, you sheeple. It's so hard to view you as human because it's almost an insult to humans. Like to real people. You allow this with your vote. A vote for Trump, a vote for Biden is a vote for government employees molesting children and law enforcement officers watching and then claiming they have immunity to do that. That's what your vote represents. You're not saving the children. You're, in fact, doing the opposite. You're giving your vote that empowers these people to go out and do this nasty, heinous shit. I'll see you guys on Adam versus the Man. Have a good day or don't. The choice is always yours.
Welcome to Coffee and a Conversation hosted by CJ Abernathy for South Dakota District